Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. That means it's the Dennis and Andy show for the new year. Happy New Year, Dennis.
Happy New Year, Andy, and welcome to 2023 for our first official Wednesday live show.
I know we're here. We are live and in charge in this wonderful, like you said, 2023. Amazing. I cannot believe my daughter is going to be 20 this year. I can remember when she was born thinking, wow, she'll be 20 in 2023. That's so far away. And now here we are,
Right?
2023.
I know.
Crazy.
I can't believe, well, 2022 was not a stellar year, but it is what it is. So let's just hope for a better 2023, and let's hope we get a resolution to the NFL season.
It is in the rearview mirror now. 2022 is. Let's say hi to people. Randy Howell is here. Hello, Randy. Randy does say it. Read the first 8 pages of Kor-Drath and he posts the link that takes you right to the pages because we do have Kor-Drath.com now. So there's more stuff there than there is on Indiegogo, and you can just click the order here button that'll take you to this link, the Indiegogo link. So thank you, Randy. Hyper Kaiju, hello. JP Roca, what is up? Marcus is in the house. Unhinged, hello. Marcus, hello. Amish Ninja, hello. Lots of people, thank you guys for being here today. Yes, we are going to go over some of our favorite books. Dennis came up with the number, so he said pick 7 titles, and I was like, 7's an odd number, but okay.
I was thinking 10, but you know how we tend to go off on tangents and go into it. I'm like, 10 books a piece. And if Rob winds up joining us, then you know what? This is going to be an all night affair because we can really go into it. So I thought 7 would be a different number for us.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Oh, my
I didn't
wife
want
texted
just
me.
like 7 books or 7 that. What I was thinking was, 7 titles. Can be a big title, could be mini series. It could be, just small ones. Something that if you're home on a rainy day and you're like, my God, what? I need something to pull my heartstrings, to bring back my member berries. What could I do? These would be the titles that I would be like, yes, I could pull these out and just read them and then go back to being a child again.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's funny because I really like the way you just explained that and summed it up because, when we first talked about it earlier today on the phone, a few things did come to mind, but a few, like, better visuals just, I think, came to mind now. So that's good. I do like that. That is a good thing. Marcus, I heard something about the Joker getting pregnant. I'm not quite sure all the details. Don't really want to know because it sounds stupid.
And again, that's why these top 7 books, they're not going to have any wokeness because these are good. Many of these are classics that you can pick up and read over and over again, and they're warm, make you feel good kind of books versus the modern stuff, which is just tripe, garbage, and that Marvel and DC are putting out that I don't even want to touch anymore.
I hear you. But before we get in, did you do anything fun on New Year's Eve?
Other than being sick, no. No, I wound up, all our plans got canceled. I wound up not going anywhere. We had reservations at Yama with some friends. My daughter was home from Korea for the Christmas season, so that was wonderful. So we had all these wonderful plans laid out, and I wound up getting the flu, and everybody did. So it went around and hit everybody. My mother-in-law stayed with us. So it was pretty much nonstop, and then the sickness hit, and we went boom, boom, boom. So we have not been able to do a whole heck of a lot for Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, well, we went out, had a little hibachi Japanese, and I got a nice spiffy hat to wear. So for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, I had it on Monday night on the Kings. My Happy New Year hat they were giving out at the hibachi place. Here, let's hold on before we get going. Got to introduce the one and only, and I don't have a video introduction, but I can do this.
Certified badass.
Hey.
Oh, I thought it was Graham Nolan. It's just
Oh.
Rob. Never mind.
Oh, wow.
Rob gets the face slap.
Welcome to the new year, Rob, and welcome to another year of dealing with Andy.
Yeah, it starts with an insult. That's great. You know, Andy, I got to let you know that hat you shouldn't wear on camera. It pales you out even more, makes you even more of a whitey. So you need to get you a different color hat, maybe blue.
Oh, not all of us can be backlit like you.
I'm not backlit tonight.
It's the silhouette of Rob.
It's a top light. I can see it. It's shining down from above. It's like the heavens are opening up to talk about this topic.
Or take me. I'm not sure which. I probably had COVID last week, so they're probably getting ready to take me.
Oh, well, look at that. You and Dennis shared something in common.
See, it's going around everywhere.
Yeah.
Except Dennis does not know. Well, you didn't test yourself, right? You just assumed that's what you had, Rob?
No, we didn't test. We did because Kristen had it too. But Kristen and I are never, ever, ever sick together. And because I started getting sick, and 2 days later, she had the exact same symptoms and the same sickness. We're pretty much assuming that it was COVID because we never get sick together. So. The house is so large that we stay in. I'm on the east wing and she's on the west wing, so
wow.
I rarely see her.
They have wings.
Yeah. So we're more mansion roommates than husband and wife. So whatever will work.
Rob's house is like a maxi pad. It has wings.
Oh, it's true.
Wow,
it's true.
Andy's just starting off this year, isn't
Rob bought like gallons of Red Bull and spilled it. Next thing you knew, his house had wings.
Well, first thing we did is I painted the house red. So, is that too much?
No, not at all.
All right, great. Fantastic.
All right, let's start this off. So I'm going to be controlling the images for Dennis and I. When it gets to your turn, Rob, you can show us if you have something to show, or you can just tell us. So what the topic, like Dennis said, is, and Rob, you're I contacted you late, so you don't have to have 7 of them, but the premise is 7 titles that you can just read, and it just flashes you back to being a kid again. And Rob, that does not include the Playboys you found when you were like 10. These is comic books.
What? All right, I'll just show my Hustlers then.
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
I'm just glad you're not showing your jail baits. That might be a little too much.
Oh, or big fatties. Chunkamucks. Look at these ladies. Jail time with the chunkies.
Andy's like, I could have swore I loaned those to you years ago.
Andy sent them to me.
No. The ones he hasn't returned to me are the barely legals. Those I want back.
Jesus, dude. Come on, man. That's...
All right, here we go.
Let's kick this off.
Dennis, tell us about this.
Oh my God, Akira. This was not only a phenomenal movie. I can remember I originally had collected these when they came out. 1988, I was just graduating high school, and it ran from 88 to 1992. It was an epic title, which they put it out, and I mean, the artwork was just dead on from the movie. It was so fantastic. It really set the standard for both really manga, Japanimation, and stuff at that time. Katsuhiro Otama, he basically wrote it and drew everything in it. I love the movie so much. And you could pick up these books, sit down and read them, and it's just like you're watching the movie, but you can do it frame by frame. It was just incredibly fun. This was definitely in my manga, era, and to this day, I had gotten rid of it. Andy and I were talking about this off screen just a bit. Why'd you get rid of them? Well, I got rid of a lot of my stuff when we were moving, and I never should have, because this is a timeless one that I'm going back and recollecting them all again. Matter of fact,
Paying a pretty penny as well.
it is.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
gone so far up in price and stuff like that.
Why don't
But,
you just go get the big fat trade paperback? There's got to be one.
it's not the same. I mean, it's never the same for me. But
I never read it.
My faves.
I never read it. I watched I know I watched the movie, back probably when it originally came out. So it's been a long time. I never read the book. I'll borrow yours, and then, instead of a bookmark, I'll just dog ear the corners if I, so I don't lose my place. That's cool, right?
It's about normal. That's about what you do.
Yeah.
No
Well,
respect.
you're not letting me borrow the X-Men #1 for some odd reason. I don't know why.
Can't dog ear that corner either.
Crack it open.
That's right.
All right, well that's not bad. All right, let me see. Let's see what I've got going on here. I can do these little thumbnails. I'll go with one of my favorites. Obviously, I bought this back issue as a kid. This was one of the introductions to Neil Adams. I love Green Lantern. I got into Green Lantern more. Well, when I first got introduced to Green Lantern, obviously it was in the 80s. It was actually, I believe it was either Joe Staton drawing the book or Dave Gibbons. When Dave Gibbons had his run on the book, I collected all those for sure because I just love Dave's art. And then, I went back and got back issues, and I found the Neil Adams run, and I liked his artwork a lot. Yeah, the stories were okay, but for me, being more art driven, I can take this and I do have the trade paperback of it as well as all the individual issues of Neil's stuff. But I'll pull the trade paperback every now and then just to sit down and flip through it and just get energized by looking at the artwork that Neil was doing and stuff. I really, he really made everybody up their game when he got into the industry with what he was doing and stuff. You could really see kind of a shift happening with it. So, yeah, I mean, I love Green Lantern. I love the Dave Gibbons issues. I'm a big fan of Joe Staton's work on it, even though it was a little more cartoony. And then, of course... What's that?
I said a little more cartoony.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's work was cartoony. I mean, it didn't start off like the weird thing is, what's up, Trent? Hello. The weird thing is, when Joe started the book, if you look at his first stuff on Green Lantern, Joe's never been a super realistic artist, but you could see in some of his early work at DC, he was trying to be, it looked like. But then, once he got going, I just think his natural tendencies came out and the cartooniness showed more, which, it worked. And I don't know if it worked because that was an introduction for me to Green Lantern as well. So I just kind of accepted it. I don't know what it would have been like, if I was reading Green Lantern for years and then it's like, oh, newest issue's out, pick it up, and it's this Joe Staton guy. I don't know how I would have reacted, like if I would have been like, whoa, this is just way too much of a departure. But I did, I liked it. I think
that Green Lantern era, that really is. I never hardcore collected Green Lantern at that era, but I would pick up an occasional issue here or there, and it was good. I always enjoyed it. So, for me, I think that's a good one. It wouldn't fall on my list because I was not a hardcore collector, so I didn't have all the runs of it. But, with Neil Adams stuff, I mean, that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Is this by like your number one? Are you guys starting with like your
No, Dennis is.
Kids?
No, I'm starting with my worst and going to my number one. I just labeled them in the folder different.
Okay.
Oh,
Akira's
I'm
my
not. I'm
number
just
7.
bouncing around.
okay, yeah, because I was curious about that. Because I know Andy's a big fan of Neil Adams anyway, so I didn't know if this was like your number one comic.
No, I'm bouncing around. And Marcus does have a good point. Joe did have 2 runs on Green Lantern. And he's right. When Joe first started Green Lantern, I think he was trying to fit in more at DC with kind of a house style, maybe. His second run was definitely more cartoony, and I actually enjoyed that run better. Keith Pollard did a few fill-in issues of Green Lantern that were cool. Mike Grell had a nice long run on it.
Well, Mike Grell's very Neil Adams influence, isn't he?
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Alex Saviuk, some of his... Actually, I was talking to Alex at MegaCon 2 years ago when Dennis and I went. Alex was sitting next to me, and I believe his first work at DC... Was it his first work? I want to say his first work at DC was actually on Green Lantern. So,
Wow.
I actually went and bought an issue at the show just to have him sign it since he was sitting there and stuff. So,
That's kind of a big issue to be your for someone's first. You know, I know
Yeah.
you know Green Lantern sales have all been up and down and up and down and down and down and down. But you know, when you think of DC Comics, it's like Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and then the next tier is like Flash and Green Lantern.
Yep.
So, you know, that
What's up,
still
Joe?
that's still a pretty big deal.
well, you know, it's funny how you said, you know, the sales have been up and down, then down, 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 down. And, you know, the last Green Lantern stuff I bought was the run that Liam Sharp did with Grant Morrison.
Never
I
even
bought it more because of Liam, because I like Liam's work. Now, I will say the only thing that they did season 1 and season 2. So 2, 12-issue runs. And the only thing I wasn't a fan of is for the last 2 issues of the second season, Liam didn't do pencils and inks. He did digital painting for those 2 issues.
Yeah.
And I like his digital painting, but it was jarring because, you had 22 issues of pencils and inks,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, by him, no inkers over him. He inked it, he did it all himself. But then the last 2 issues, I don't know why, but he decided to digitally paint them. And it just really kind of pulled me out of the story and stuff because it wasn't unified. Now, if he started the book that way and did all digital painting, then I would have been like, okay. And just like if you did all digital painting in the last 2 issues, he's like, I'm just going to pencil and ink them. I'd say the same thing. So it's nothing against his work. It's just, it wasn't cohesive to me in the whole run. But, after that, they've gotten rid of Hal. He's
I was
just...
a Kyle Rayner fan. I was going to say,
Kyle.
When he launched, I enjoyed what they did. I didn't think I would like them, but I picked them up because they were first issues, and I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And I was like, I like what they did with him.
So, real quick, Trent asked, what do you think of the new Tarzan? Are you talking about Lord of the Jungle that Dynamite's putting out? Because if you're talking about that, I like it. It's only 2 issues so far, but I do like it. And the one thing I like about it is the guy drawing it, Benito, I'm blanking on his last name, but he is basically like John Buscema reincarnated.
Yeah, if it's the Lord of the Jungle, it's solid. I think it looks really nice. So, kudos to them.
Yeah,
Rob,
that's what Trent's talking about. So, yep.
Rob, what you got?
Oh, I'll actually put it up on camera. Some of my favorite comic books are McFarlane's run on Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I have this up in my office, so I just grabbed it so it would be easy to show.
Yep.
But they're all beat up and, yellow and oranged.
Did he ink that one? Is that one of the ones? Is that when he was inking himself?
Oh, yeah. This is issue 312 with Green Goblin and Hobgoblin. So I was that was later. I didn't buy that off the stand. I bought that in like back issues when I was like 19 or 20 or something like that. Kind of when I realized engineering wasn't going to work out, and I needed to figure out something else.
Yep.
So
McFarlane Spider-Man was such a cool twist, and the design on the web and everything. I mean, because he was part of those guys that did something different. Sales picked up. It was cool. I think a lot of people are like you and have a very fond memory of that era.
yeah, it's the only time I ever bought Spider-Man was because of McFarlane. I did get some of Eric Larson's because Eric Larson's, they were smart. His stuff was clunkier than McFarlane's, so every issue was a lot of action. So,
Yeah.
To really kind of keep the momentum going. So it's I always thought that was really smart. So that was a lot of fun.
What's up, Matt Barr? Hello.
Yo, dude, what's going on?
I like that Spider-Man stuff. I've got the trade paperbacks. I still have some of the single issues of Todd's, but I bought the trade paperbacks. I just, it has energy. It's fun. You just look at it and you're like, this just exudes fun.
Yeah. When I talk about the best comic books I've ever been able to look at and read, I'm talking about runs like McFarlane Spider-Man, Jim Lee's Uncanny, because there wasn't the same damn villain for 12 issues or something. Like they were smart about it. Like Amazing Spider-Man, hey, here's his rogues gallery. Here's all of his villains. That was, to be honest, as a comic book artist, that is probably the biggest disappointment I've had in my career is every run I've had on comic books, they don't do that anymore. Now there's 4 or 5 different Spider-Man books. There's 4 or 5 different Batman books. You never, when's the last time we saw a run of villains, rogues gallery in Batman? Was it Hush? If they've done it since then, I probably just didn't buy it because, that was always my favorite. Even like, as a teenager, as a professional, it's like, man, why are you guys doing these long runs with the same damn villain? It's so boring. Or writers introducing all this crud, all these crud characters. Most of those characters, you're like, no one's ever going to see these characters again. Nobody cares.
Yep. I agree. But that is so cool. Like we were talking about, you could pull them out just like you did. Oh, I had one sitting here, so I pulled it out. And I'm like, hey, I could sit down and read a few issues of these and just go, fantastic.
Yeah, and
that's the thing.
Different villain every month. Or every
that's the thing too. Like I was, I'm going through my boxes. I started over the holidays, trying to weed stuff down. Just call the herd a little bit with stuff I don't need. And I got this stack of books next to me here on the floor that I pulled out just because I'm like, man, these are just ones I just want to look through because they're just cool and they're all different, And it's funny, I've got all those boxes and stuff of comics, but I don't go through them as much as I should when I get bored, because my first inclination when I get bored is, oh, let me go see if there's anything interesting at the shop, when it's like, I just need to go through my boxes.
Yeah. I mean, there's, is there anything on the newsstand that's going to be able to touch some of this, this older stuff? And I don't want to sound like, one of the fans were like, oh, it's all Jack Kirby, blah, 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 blah. Jack Kirby's Thor, Jack Kirby's Captain America. But, not even if I'm trying to compare art, it's just comparing the stories and what they could do. My run on Green Lantern was, hey, here's a big storyline coming up. Oh, you guys get this part of the story, and then it goes into another Green Lantern book, and then it goes into another Green Lantern book, and you're like, oh, like I see how they use that to unify sales or try to help unify sales, but from a reader standpoint, it's like, dude, I was getting those books for free, and I still didn't even follow the story. I was just like, come on, man,
Didn't
let
they
one
just
team
come out with that artist edition? Because Joe was asking.
They did. I was going to say it's out. Heroes over here has one,
thought.
and it's big too. It's bigger. I've got so many of those artist editions. I'm still not done looking through the Brian Boland one that I've had for like 6 months. I'm halfway
are those
through
the black and white giant ones you're talking
Yeah,
about?
There is a Todd Spider-Man one.
Oh, there is? I didn't know that. I have Jim's Uncanny X-Men. I've only gone through like page 4. So I got through like 4 pages. I look at it and it just kind of makes me sad.
I love those big
that's a great
oversized
one though.
ones.
Yeah.
They got pictures of me sitting in my big chair with the big book. I look like a little child sitting there flipping through it, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Dennis's number 2.
Here we go.
Not that number 2.
Oh.
Even though this is still big. Oh, look at that. Here I do this, and he's got to pull that.
You
know, Dennis, if you're going to do show and tell, just tell me.
But you know what? It's okay that you do that, because this Elseworlds book is probably, it's between this and Red Sun, but I'm going to say I really think Kingdom Come is my favorite complete package. It's a nice 4-issue miniseries. You sit down. Now you can full screen it, because I do want to show people some of the interior artwork in this. When you take a look at Alex Ross and what he does with some of these characters, his artwork was so fantastic. This was a very cool storyline. There is no negatives to this book at all. I've read this so many times over the years, and it's another one I could literally pull it out and just sit down and read it. It just pulls you into the story. It makes you feel like you're part of the world, and you can't wait to see how it ends. And even after you've finished reading the very last page and it ends, you almost want to pick it up and reread it over again. Just a fantastic story. This is on my perpetual reading list always.
Oh yeah. It's incredible.
It was 1996 it came out. DC had done it. Mark Waid had written it, and but man, that Alex Ross, that art just it just gelled. Everything gelled in the
Dude, you want to know what kills me is I remember when it came out, and I didn't know much about Alex. Obviously I got Marvel's, his first big thing, and I bought this, but I didn't know anything personally about him, like how old the guy was or whatever. And I just, you said 1996, so I was 26. And I'm looking at this stuff like, God, what a seasoned professional. This guy must be old. And I found out he's younger than me. And I'm like, God. So, yeah, it is a real good one though. But I'll pull up an oldie but a goodie here. Let me see. I can see these little thumbnails nice and clear. I'm going to go with another one. My first experience when I was reading The Incredible Hulk was the Sal Buscema stuff. That was my Hulk artist at the time. It was Sal when I got on the book. And I don't think this is a Sal cover. I think that's Al Milgrom. But I just liked... I knew him and John were brothers. I liked the proportions he gave the Hulk. I thought the stories by Bill Manilow were good. And, once again, back then in the 80s, a lot of them were one and dones or maybe a 2-issue storyline, but nothing that was really long and drug out. Yeah, that was it.
It's a good era. He and I'm going to say Dale Keown for...
of course.
That is probably my favorite run of all the Hulk stuff is Dale's. But if I were to pick a second, that would be it. But I also really enjoyed the storylines and how simplistic and fun they were back then.
Yeah. Yep. And then, it's funny, Sal inked a lot of the stuff himself, which I liked. I loved it when Joe Sinnott inked him. But then I'm pretty sure he's Filipino, guy comes on, Greg Talawak, something like, I can never pronounce his last name, but as a kid, I was like, oh, what is this? Because he did a lot more rendering. I don't know if Sal was doing full pencils or not. But it was really more heavily rendered, more line work and stuff. And I just didn't like it as a kid, but man, I look at that stuff now and Gary. It was Gary. I said Greg. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Gary Talawick. Thank you, Marcus. Gary. They did kill Jarella too soon. And what's up, Zaid? Still waiting on my comp copy of CJ Vacation. Just saying.
Uh-oh.
I've looked at Dennis's, and it's fantastic. So I
Yeah,
can't
but I
wait to
paid
get
for
it.
mine, so it deserves to be here. Well,
I can't.
before
I can't
anything
wait to
that
get
you-
it and show it off on a live stream. But yeah, Jerry's inks just or yeah. How was you? Gerry? Is that Jerry or Gary?
It's Jerry.
Jerry. Yeah, his inks were just they were just so different. But I look at the stuff now. In fact, I bought a trade paperback of a specific run, and most of it's inked by Jerry because I love what he did. So it was really good stuff. There you go. You can still get my 7 from Amish
this will
Ninja.
be curious. Stay tuned because some of yours I know will be in our list. This will be. See, I think there's going to be some overlap with the fans.
There is. Let's see. Look at that. Sending it out this week. Woo! Happy New Year. That's what I call a Christmas present after Christmas when I actually like getting them because I'm the type of guy that when Christmas is over, I need that week between Christmas and New Year's to go, okay, I got to wait another year. But now I don't. I'm getting a present soon.
There
So
you
happy.
go. That's what we call peer pressure. Thank you, Zaid.
That's right. Well,
All right, Rob, what we got?
I would say, besides McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man, McFarlane's Hulk run. To be honest, I love that. I love that run.
See, I wasn't as big a fan.
Don't let Rob talk about his fuzzy, warm feelings. We don't need you poo-pooing all over everybody else's.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
The way he drew the Hulk, the big lumpy mashed potato, super wide gray Hulk. I've actually created my own character that's pretty much a ripoff of Gray Hulk, just because that influenced me so much. It was the story was enough. There was they introduced a bunch of characters. Most of them were throwaway characters that the leader was throwing after the Hulk to manipulate them into the big end of the story. But you could see at that time period, Peter David really cared about the Incredible Hulk, and Marvel did too, because he kept getting all these artists. Like you look at between McFarlane, wasn't there a guy Jeff Purves?
Yeah, Jeff Purves was.
He was
before McFarlane, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was the Gray Hulk when he was in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that we had Dale Keown. So you could see that Hulk had a run of here's all these guys that are each one is different than the other one, but they have their own thing going and they have their own Hulk that's really strong in multiple ways. So
it's funny because you said you have your own like type of Gray Hulk type character, and I've seen your colored sketch of him. And besides the fact he looks just like the Hulk, but he's pink, and you named him Gay Hulk, you just might want to work on it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no. Now I have him in a nice suit, so now he's different.
Oh,
yeah. Now he's pink Hulk, but it's like a royal blue, the really tight pants. So it's completely different now.
Okay. The John Travolta Hulk. My buddy Jim Sanders inked a few of those Todd McFarlane Hulk issues.
Yeah, you told me that. And Todd really liked how he inked them too. It's too bad that he,
Todd did, and from what Jim said, if he could have kept a deadline, he could have probably kept inking Todd. But yeah.
Well,
so
I did you tell me or someone else like an online thing where Todd would just like not finish some shit, and the pet there's like he would label like this is a gun. And it's
no, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's just a perspective box of a character. So if Sanders was having to do some of that, trying to fill in the gaps. I heard the same thing with Dale Keown. Dale Keown, who was inking Dale at first? Not McLeod, but the other guy.
Mark Farmer.
Yeah. Farmer has done a couple of interviews saying that he would get a lot of Hulk pages that were just unfinished. So,
really? See,
yeah.
If I knew that, I would have seen if Dale wanted to come on and we could have asked him.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like a topic for another week.
Past Master Dan says, I see Rob's moved to a nicer closet.
No. It's the same closet. It's just better lighting. But see the same
They did suggest you need a
bodybuilding.com
green
box in the
screen.
background, right there. That's the same. The shelves are the same. Or is he talking about downstairs my studio? That's
We're talking about right now.
Yeah, because they can see the right now, the right.
Oh
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Now, like in Spaceball.
I mean, it does look like you're in a closet.
Yeah, that's the joke. Like if I lean this way, you could see the battery bank power charger. So that really gives it a real good, strong storage closet type vibe.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. That's fine. All right, Dennis, number 3. Am I sharing the screen or are you holding it up? What are you doing?
To. I'll pull it right up. Shogun Warriors. Shogun Warriors came out in 1979. Ran for a year, 20 issues through 1980. Doug Mensch and Herb Trimp did it. And there was a Showtime. Again, this started off as kind of like an anime. And as you can pull up and take a look. So it was Combatra, Raideen, Danguard, Ace, all the things we could watch on the Showtime special. And huge kaijus before they were called kaijus, giant monsters, robots fighting giant monsters. I mean, how can you go wrong? I loved the cartoons. I loved how they broke apart. They had all their really cool weapons. I mean, this was the Power Rangers before there were Power Rangers. And Herb just did a fantastic job with this. It just brought me back. I mean, I've got the entire run. I've always had the entire
Well,
run.
what's the... Wait, how many issues was it? The
20
run's not...
issues.
Yeah, so I was going to say the run wasn't that long. But there was, what was it, 1 or 2 issues where they actually did cross over with Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, a lot of them had little, we will talk about that later with one of my other fantastic ones. But for
All right.
20 issues, I can pull this out on a rainy day and literally just sit down and blow through all 20 issues and go, damn, how have these not been made into a movie? Just saying.
Probably because of the, I know a lot of that Japanese stuff. The rights are super, super crazy murky because there's weird rights for the companies like Marvel that publish the comic.
It is.
The rights of, because the way that they would adapt the cartoons over here, where they would take a bunch of different cartoons and chop them together.
Yes.
And change stuff. So there's multiple companies always fighting over the rights of a lot of that Japanese stuff.
Joe, you just beat me to it. I was literally, when you said Star Avengers, I was going to say Star Poseidon, Star Arrow, Star Dragon. They were one robot. They split into 3. Whichever colored one was on top became that robot, and they had their own superpowers. Joe and I really are brothers from another mother because this is some of the greatest stuff to ever not only showcase themselves in comics, but also in fantastic TV shows. But you're right. A lot of that stuff came over from Japan. We'd have to get Chris on one of these days. He knows all the ins and outs of it because the toy line is separate because a lot of them started out as toys over in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers from another mother. You know, Rob and I are bros from another hoe.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Andy, you bastard.
Oh, well, that was my number 5.
I actually remember some of those books on the spinner rack at a local drugstore when I was a kid.
Yes, the toys. Cool. So they had little toys versions of them, and then they've got the great big ones that were over 2 feet tall, plastics. The missile shot out, the fists would shoot. I mean, they were just cool. They weren't superposable, but man, were they kick butt for what you paid for those things.
Yeah, I had one of them. I had the one with the missile shot out of it, or his fist would fly.
Yeah, that's what I had. Yeah,
the big plastic one that was like 2 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah, it was almost 2 feet tall, wasn't it? The thing was huge.
Yeah, well, I was 5, so it looked really huge back then. So, yeah, I had that one. And then later on, my brother had the guy that was in that comic. He had the die cast, the 6-inch figure or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were cool. Yeah.
They were awesome. They had three or four of the great big giant ones, and they all had their own abilities, weapons, and things that shot and fired. So fantastic.
And
All
that,
right,
if
let
you
me
want to
see.
make a movie, that's how you launch your shit. With cartoons, comics, and toys, then you make a movie.
Well, PTP's doing that right now.
That's right. Looking forward to getting it too. All
I
right.
know.
Here's mine. Here's my next one. Loved this run as a kid. Frank Miller's Daredevil, baby. Oh man, when Elektra died, and
Yeah.
that iconic shot that takes up the left hand side of the page where he just skewers her. Man, that was just freaking awesome. Real
Punisher
quick,
versus
Monthly, Andy?
Daredevil, no
Was that
more
like a
movies
monthly
yet.
book for you?
Daredevil?
Yeah. Like, were you going into like the drugstore, the comic book store, and going, "Is the next issue out yet?" Like, or this, like, did you check this out in back issues?
No, it had to be back issues because by the time I got so I'm looking at the cover date on this one. This one I could have bought brand new because it was 82.
Mm-hmm.
But this was after he killed Elektra, so I went back after I discovered it and pretty much picked up when from Frank started the book.
Oh, so
And-
this is
and did
actually
that.
the one you bought as a kid?
This isn't mine.
No, but I mean like the Punisher one.
Yeah, I bought this one as a kid, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
Pork Hunt wants to know what was your favorite licensed comic? I'm going with He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I freaking loved that book. Oh, Beowulf has a good one too, Thundercats. I want to take He-Man over Thundercats though. I remember seeing it in the preview that DC did in the middle of their the DC Comics Presents. And then I bought the miniseries when it came out from DC. I just loved it. So it was
Mine
He-Man.
actually is Thundercats, and my second one is Thundercats. My number one licensed one, stay tuned, because actually this technically is a licensed one. So I would put this and Thundercats right there. But I've got one more that I'll be showing you that is my favorite of all time for a licensed.
I'd say
Damn
G.I.
it! I spoiled Elektra dying for Phil.
Oh,
Sorry about that,
dude,
buddy.
Too soon.
Too soon. It's only been 40 years. Too soon.
I actually bought G.I. Joe off the stand. That's one of the few comics that I actually got off of
G.I. Joe too. I used to have that whole run. I love that series. Another one.
Yeah. I actually had issue 1, or issue 2. Which one? Which one had the tank on it? I didn't have that issue. I think that was issue 2. I had issue 1.
Wait, what now? I'm sorry.
G.I.
Oh,
Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the only licensed book I ever saw because we didn't have a comic book store near us, so it was only like the local bookstores or the local news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your number 3? Nintendo Ginger. Hello. Trent says, I can't believe I never knew there was a Gray Hulk that worked for the Mafia in Vegas.
What?
Jeff Purves.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
that's some good stuff. And then we saw Keone Hulk actually revisit Vegas too.
Wow. So, hold on. Damn it. Jetto has G.I. Joe issues 1 through 110. That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
That's a good
There
run.
you go. You know what? They Randy Emberlin, I think it was Randy Emberlin. Didn't he draw some G.I. Joe? He said that they would get paid extra because of had to draw all those fucking vehicles all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I honestly have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't read G.I. Joe. The only G.I. Joe I have is the Michael Golden special number 2. And then I have the silent issue
Mhm.
with Snake Eyes. And those are the only 2 issues I have.
See,
Dude,
I was going to say Star Wars. A lot of guys are saying Star Wars. I used to have the entire run. I enjoyed it. But the comics just were not nearly as good as the big screen for this. So the comics never. I actually like a lot of the novels better. So, yeah, for me, can't say that.
Yeah, I never read any of the Star Wars either.
So, Rob,
Conan's
what's
good. I never, Conan, that is a good one.
that? Conan is
But I
a
never
really
think
good
of
one.
Conan as a licensed thing.
Yeah.
So,
I never bought Conan. Conan was always a comic book someone else had. Or
now
was a
see,
comic book
I have the
itself.
whole run of this because it's only 7 issues. Man from Atlantis. I've got all 7.
It's a good
Frank
run.
Robbins artwork.
I
Love
think
it.
I saw that. I think I remember seeing that at the drugstore.
Yep.
Never
All right,
bought.
Rob, what do you got?
I would have to say Jim Lee's Uncanny X-Men. I'm a teenager when that came out, and that that kicked ass. I knew that when Jim he did that issue 248, and
Yep.
I remember thinking that I don't know who this guy is, but there's something, it looked cooler than, like it looked better than the books around it, but it was hard to tell. I mean, I wasn't really drawing at that time, but I was just like, and then when he started his run with Scott Williams, that's when it kind of was like, oh, there's something different about this stuff.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pull that out.
Oh, yeah, Rob. This is what you need. XXL.
When I told you I was in my big chair with my legs kicking down, that was one of the books. They're all that size. And
how big is that?
Read it. It's fabulous.
This is. And speaking of, oh, wait. I thought this started with.
We did a show on it way back.
I know, but I thought this had that 240. I thought this had his first issue in it, but it doesn't. So, but that's okay.
Does it start with 268?
No, it starts with
267. I think it because it deals with the Psylocke story. I think up front.
Is that the one where like Portacio did some inks on it, so some of the pages look like Portacio penciled them? Or
I don't know. This starts with 250. Okay, so I can just tell you what's in it.
Yeah.
256 through 258, 268 through 269, 274 to 277, and then X-Men 1 through 3.
Okay, yeah. So like him and Portacio and Williams and Dan Green, they did a couple those 254, 255 or whatever, 256.
No, there's no Dan Green. The only other inker in there besides Scott is Joe Rubenstein and Art Taber.
Oh, Dan had already been pushed out. Well, he just went over to Wolverine, right? With Silvestri?
Who, Art?
No, Dan Green.
Oh, Dan Green. Yeah, he went over. Yeah.
You guys, there's a lot of X-Men talk, so you'll definitely have to stay tuned to the end because we'll really get into some talking.
Yeah.
Trent says, holy cow, what a large book, like reading a movie. Dude, that book is, all the pages are bigger than what's in the artist edition, which the artist edition prints, original size. All the pages in there are bigger. It is freaking awesome.
Dude, what'd you pay for that?
What did we pay? Because
50, $60, something like that?
Yeah, we got it at Second and Charles, which is the used. Well, they do new stuff too, but used books and stuff.
They had a big sale on it, and when I was like, "Oh my god!" For that price, it's just a no-brainer. I've got the Giant Fantastic Four. I've got a bunch of them downstairs.
Well, no, you bought yours at a convention because you grabbed it out from under me.
Oh, I got it from Smashers. So thanks, Wayne.
He grabbed it out.
I'm the one who told you about it, and they said he got it on sale, so I paid way more than he did, and then it was a hunt to see if we could find him on sale.
So you pushed Andy out of the way and grabbed it?
He did. Bully.
I beat him over the head with that book.
He's a big bully. Joe asked, what book is that again? It's X-Men. XXL. Jim Lee. Oh, it's so big. You can just do shoulder presses with it.
That's pretty cool. That's a good cover to use for that.
It is, and the coloring's good in there. It is definitely worth a pick up.
Did they recolor it? Is that like all new computer color?
No. Nope. All original.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis.
Yeah.
Are you showing something?
No, I don't. Don't think I brought it out. So nope. You'll have to pop the screen.
Oh, thank God! I can finally get back to doing what I'm supposed to do.
This is technically speaking, this is the third Silver Surfer run. Silver Surfer's always been one of my characters, but this came out in 1987. Again, I was in high school. It ran for like 11 years. There's 146 issues on it. I absolutely love this entire run. This is one of the... For me, this is the Silver Surfer heyday. Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers, they hooked me on it on the very first issue, and I could never get enough of these. I have multiple copies of some of the issues in here. I mean, when you get Terrax and you get Firelord, you get all the different heralds and all the awesome stories, you know, the in-betweener, the beyonder stuff. You've got Galactus. Um, I, this is Marvel outer space stuff at its finest. It's a long run, so it'd be like an entire weekend kind of thing, just sitting there reading it. But for the value that's in there for that type of a book, I absolutely love that. Yeah, Romlin's first work. Yes, that's right.
I don't think that's right.
He's
I don't think his first Marvel work was issue 15, because didn't he do Captain America before Silver Surfer?
Oh,
I was thinking.
no,
it was
that's
Silver
confusing.
Surfer.
I think he did Captain America before Silver Surfer. And then before that, I think he did, I want to say he might have done a couple backups or something before Silver Surfer. But,
did he ever do
yeah.
any What If? Not what, Marvel Comics Presents or What If or whatever?
That's what I was thinking. I want to say he might have done something, but I know he did Captain America, and I'm sure those Captain Americas were before the Surfer, because the Surfer came out. What year did this first issue come out? Do you remember? Because the
87.
covers. What year?
Well, Silver Surfer came out in 87.
Porkhunt's saying he did it after Kieran. So maybe he... Yeah, but once he started on Surfer, he was on Surfer until it was done. Until he left the book. So where did Captain America... I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. He was super fast back then. Did he do them both at the same time? He could have done... because, you know, there's always rumors that he was doing like 4 to 6 pages a day at his top speed. Because he was a Silver Surfer. He did the big 64-page thing, the Vault, that Avengers weird spinoff. He was doing multiple things at the same time. He probably was doing Silver Surfer and Captain America at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I liked his Surfer because his Surfer was like gained like 30 or 40 pounds of muscle when he came on to draw Surfer.
I think Pork's right. I mean, if you guys can
No,
verify
I'll go for that. I'll go for that.
88 was 15, and then Captain America he started in 89.
Yeah, no, I like the way he did this. I still have a soft spot for Ron's stuff when he draws stuff. You know?
Yeah.
There's just something about it, you know?
Yeah,
and you're right, he did. He Surfer was definitely a lot thicker than Marshall Rogers' Surfer was.
One of my favorite times at DC was when I got to work with Jim and Ron on Rand Thanagar. Because I loved that Silver Surfer run, especially with Jim Starlin when Thanos showed up. That stuff was incredible.
Silver Surfers had so many good runs. The first run was great. Mm-hmm. You had the Mobius. It was that was a 2-shot. And I mean, I'm not fond of the newer Silver Surfer stuff that they've done because, again, he's big, he's powerful, he's got the weight of the universe, he's got the heart of a paladin, and these 146 issues showed what he was all about. You know, a lot of the stuff when he goes in with the Fantastic Four does, but now they've got him in this weird ass crap, and they've destroyed a truly classic figure. I hope one day they get their heads out of their butt and straighten this character back out.
Probably not.
Yep.
Well, when you look at that Silver Surfer and you go, there's no way that they could even pull off Silver Surfer nowadays. Like a long run of Silver Surfer. Like the market's different. Everything about it, like Silver Surfer is like one of those books that could you even publish? You can't even publish, 12 issues of it nowadays.
Right.
There's so much BS that are connected to comics. Like if you publish the Silver Surfer series, it would only be because he's getting a movie, or it was only because he was like the core book of a big event, some big space event.
And honestly, if with these casted characters in the space stuff, mm-hmm. I would go see Silver Surfer movies if it encompassed, all the Elders of the Universe and the Celestials and all of the stuff. That would be, Fire Lord, give me the Herald. You put that into it, this could be your epic space stuff. But they can't do it. They just can't bring themselves to make a good story about it.
There's no room between all the jokes.
Correct. Yeah. I will always have this as my rainy weekend plus reading material. So that is my number 4 counting down on my list.
When
Andy, what's yours?
you now look at those movies, you can see why they did Guardians of the Galaxy and not Silver Surfer to introduce space to Marvel, because it was all about the jokes. Yeah, it's too bad.
So we've got Pork Hunt, Dan Slott, Mike Allred made Silver Surfer too light. Yeah, I read the first trade paperback because I like Mike Allred's artwork, and I thought he actually was a good artist for Surfer because he has that Silver Age feel with his work. But the stories did nothing for me.
No, I actually own them, and it just saddened me every issue I picked up.
It looked gross.
I got rid of my Marvel.
Oh. Yeah. Well, my next one is Walt Simonson's Thor run. I did buy these when these came out from the get-go. Man, Walt Simonson's Thor was just like Todd Spider-Man. It was the beginning of the stuff just punching you in the face. Mm-hmm. It was Kirby, but modernized, you could say, with the way Walt did his line work and his inking. You know, his inking, you know, you look at Todd's inking on his own work on Spider-Man and stuff, and it's kind of frenetic and chaotic and stuff. But that's how Walt's inking is, you know, and his page layouts. It was just such a good story. And then he does that crap with the Frog Thor, which you're just like, what? But it was cool.
It was.
And then he gives him that other alter ego. Oh my God, Eric. What was his other alter ego?
Thunderstrike.
Yeah, but that was still. But before he was Thunderstrike, he was still running around as Thor.
Yeah, he was Eric Masterson.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool. He did that little shot where he drew. In the one issue, he drew Clark Kent and Lois Lane.
Right. But the most important thing that they brought out of this is on this issue. It's Beta Ray freaking Bill.
Yep.
One of my favorite characters that as a secondary character that they've ever had in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. His favorite work was Walt Simonson's CrossGen's The Path #5. Yeah, Walt was thrilled to do that book, and it was a fantastic looking book. So.
Oh, I never saw that. It was cool.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I never saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did issue #5 of The Path.
Oh,
Bart was thrilled that he had a Walt Simonson fill in and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marcus. Yep, DeFalco.
Walt said. Walt at a convention said part of his inking style is because he screws around for 2 weeks and then he's got to hurry up and write and draw an issue in 2 weeks. So,
dude, he would draw this. He would be doing the stuff on the train. I can't draw anywhere except at a desk.
So he's just like, oh, it's good enough. It's good enough. It's someone I read an interview and they said that if it wasn't for Walt Simonson, everybody would be trying to draw like Jack Kirby or Neil Adams still.
Yeah, and by the way, Dennis, you are wrong. Eric Masterson wasn't introduced until DeFalco and Friends' Thor run. In Thor by Simonson, it was Sigurd Jarlson when he put on the glasses, pulled his hair back into the ponytail and stuff.
Is that when he was like working at the construction store?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stand corrected.
Yeah. That was great stuff.
So
that was free. Oh man, that was so, and then, you know, he did a whole issue that was splash pages, which for back then was just like, whoa, what is this? Mm-hmm. And you didn't mind the fact that basically you were paying, you know, 60 cents for 22 panels because it was so awesome.
Is that the one where he fights the serpent?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, dude. Is that, and he has the armor on because he's all messed up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He has the armor. Does he also have the belt of strength too?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I just remember he and that also was was it Curse? They introduced Curse?
Maybe.
Well, like, I mean, that was the Simonson's run though, where they introduced the Curse character.
Right. No, I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the order of when things happen.
No,
I'd have to see the covers and stuff.
I guess you need a rainy weekend to reread it.
I do, and I still have the ones I bought as a kid back there in my long box.
Yeah, nice. I do. Most of my comic books I sold when I was
So, Rob, what you got?
I told you never to start heroin, Rob, but you did,
couldn't
and you
help
had to
it.
sell comics
It
to
was
get your fix.
so good. It's so good. Dude, it's so good. I still miss it.
All right, you're up.
Liefeld's New Mutants. I really liked that run. I always talk about this, but if comics weren't so boring at that point, you wouldn't have had guys like McFarlane and Liefeld and Jim Lee make such an impact. Especially New Mutants. New Mutants was shit. It was well, look, mutants going to school and having teen drama, and so Liefeld shows up, and the writer Louise said he's not drawing my stories, and you're like, well, no shit, he's not. He's drawing giant shot of Cable and stuff instead of what because it's like, no, dude, nobody. I asked I was at a con and Bob McLeod was talking about his run on the early New Mutant stuff, or not his run. What did he work on that, or he was just talking about? No, he was just talking about in general checking out New Mutants as a.
Well, no, wait, you said Bob McLeod?
Yeah.
Bob started New Mutants. He created it with Chris Claremont.
Okay.
Yeah.
He talked about like a lot of them were just look at like Sienkiewicz's beautiful artwork and ignore how boring the stories were. And I'm like, they really didn't get better till like Rob Liefeld showed up. He goes, you kind of need that. You need terrible, and then that creates superstars.
And you know what? There's truth to that, because being an X-Men guy, I collected the New Mutants for me when they started out. Oh, they're like the poor man's X-Men. They're kids.
Yeah.
They treated them as such. And it was interesting and neat, and it was trying to recapture the original formula of the X-Men, which were the teenagers that were coming in. Now they've grown older. Now it's time for the next wave to come in for them to mentor it. So, they that was the formula for it. And it was cool. They had, Legion, that was kind of neat. They had, they had some pretty interesting stories, but they were never home runs. The moment those guys took over in there, it suddenly was like, wow, Cable, and he's got huge shoulder pads, and he's got little pouches everywhere with these big guns. And then they Deathstroke, Deadpool, getting introduced into it. And I don't care that they copied them. They actually turned out some really amazing stuff, and that got everybody excited, hence X-Force.
Yeah, and I like that New Mutant stuff too. And I pulled the comment down, but I liked Hilary Barta's inks on Rob in the beginning. Yeah. I liked, this is a tangent, but Rob did that What If with Wolverine that Scott Williams inked, and I never even knew that. Dude, I never even knew that until like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
and then I went out and bought it, and I was like, holy crap, this is great. But, I love Rob's stuff at that time period. X-Force #1, I thought was cool. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can see that Claremont obviously had a direction. I think he tried so hard to not make New Mutants the X-Men that it went so far to the other side that, Liefeld came in and was like, why isn't this just another version of the X-Men? Because, that's really what they did. They were just like, no. We just want another version of the X-Men, and it'll sell more copies. So I never bag on why Claremont did what he did. He just, at that point, he should have been writing for TV and doing teen drama, because that's what he was doing in New Mutants.
And Demon Bear, Pork says it. Demon Bear was probably the best early storyline that they had, and it was fantastic.
Oh, I hated it.
They did not translate it well into the movie at all. Of course you did.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I loved it. I loved Bill's work on that book. So
yeah,
that's what most people say. They like the art.
Well,
Bill's work
was cool, but again, when I saw the New Mutants movie, it's going to be based on. I'm like, wow, this could be an amazing movie, or it could be a flop, and they went the flop route. So
they went cheap. They just went into like, we're going to do the teenager drama because we can't afford anything.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, Dennis, are you show and tell or am I pulling a screen up?
Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and do the show and tell, I guess. For a couple of reasons.
I own that one too.
This is the very first issue of Comico. I'm a huge Robotech Macross, and I'm going to do it this way so you guys can see it, because this was the only adaptation that they basically had when it came to America. The SDF one. This is absolutely fantastic. I love the show. I love it. And then Comico went into the way they're doing it, and this became issue number 2. They rebranded it Robotech, the Macross Saga. So you can see there's issues 1 and 2. This is the only issue. This is a valuable book. And then this is a great run. And I am going to pop these open so you guys can
So
see.
wait. Back up now. So that issue 2, when Comico did it, they didn't even do a number 1. They just went right with number 2.
Well, this is technically the Comico. You can actually, we'll see if I
Yeah,
can.
no, I own it. I own that one. I bought it as a kid.
It is Comico. That's in it. They completely, but it was just, it was Macross, and no, the customers here didn't really know what that branding was because they were branding it with the cartoon and everything like that.
And I'll backtrack. I owned it as a kid, and then like a dumbass, I actually sold it when I was getting rid of stuff years ago. So when I went back and rebought number 1, it cost me like $50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 1 right now is in the shape I'm in is probably about 100 and a quarter, 150.
Yep.
I just love this stuff. The Veritech fighters, which to me are, it's very much like Jetfire from the Transformers. They're basically F-14 Tomcats that change into incredible robots. The storylines that are in this, I mean, everything about this is just cool. But the comics were neat because they also did other stuff. They even had like really cool little ads talking about as seen on TV because they were on there. Oh, there's Mage. Check that out.
Yeah,
That's a really good series. Mage.
Is this a comic book store only
3000.
book? Is this only for comic book stores? There's all this stuff that I've never seen before. Was this like only to comic book stores?
Yeah, this was not there. I don't think any of these have like a retail.
no, they were all just straight to
code.
comic shops.
So no newsstand.
No.
No, these were fantastic. So the Robotech, the first issue came out in 1985. The cartoons had just predated that. There's 36 issues in the Macross, and of course, then they wind up going on to the Masters and New Generation. But yeah, Comical. It's one of my favorite runs for 36 issues. Just like watching the TV show, I'll just sit down, pull it out, and just pummel right through these. I absolutely love this stuff. And then I played the Palladium role-playing games because of it. So, yeah.
Well, that's not surprising.
I kind of lost track that he was talking about comic books when he said he was going to sit down and pummel. So
I know. I was like, wow, Dennis, calm down.
what's he talking about?
He takes a couple steroids and boom, he just gets all jack crazy.
As long as you call them steroids, we're good.
Steroid.
Well, for me, it would be, and I bought this number 1 when it came out, and I stopped buying it when he left the book. Oh, actually, I take it back. Let me share the screen. I stopped buying it when Mike Mignola left the book. Alpha Flight. I got Marvel Age number 2, which was that little 35-cent like magazine type thing they put out, just talking about what Marvel was doing and stuff. And I remember the Alpha Flight write-up and just really loving the costume designs and stuff. I remember them from X-Men. So yeah, I bought this number 1. I bought 2 issues of each one for I think the first year and a half.
Wow.
And I eventually did get rid of the second set that I had. So I still have my original first set. But I just loved it. I loved the concept. I loved, obviously the artwork by Byrne. I liked the writing in it. They were fun stories. The characters were all nice and individual. Yeah, he says when Bill Mantlo started writing it. And Bill started writing it when Mignola took over, because they basically swapped, because Mignola was drawing Hulk at the time that Bill was writing, which I was also buying. And then Byrne went over to the Hulk, and Mike and Bill came over to Alpha Flight. And after Mignola left the book, I just lost interest in it. And maybe it was part of the stories, but Joe says Guardian has a badass costume. He does. It's just every costume that Byrne designed was just very. You can definitely tell a John Byrne costume design.
Yeah.
And John Byrne's Sasquatch, mic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. His origin and stuff, trying to replicate the whole Gamma stuff. It was just fantastic stuff. As artists, and Rob knows this too, we all hate hearing, oh, older stuff was better, blah blah blah. But I mean, honestly, even this inking style Byrne was doing in this, I just loved. I loved whatever he was doing inking wise at the time as well.
This is, every time I look at Alpha Flight, and I know that it sold well because of John Byrne when it first came out. This is when John, you could actually look at the story and you could see that John is already bored with comic books, because if you had just taken Alpha Flight and just run them through the traditional comic book stories with these characters and Doctor Doom villain and some of the X-Men villains and stuff, the book would have stayed like a juggernaut if John had stayed on it. But he tore apart. He had to tear apart Sasquatch. He had a fuck up Vindicator. Like, you could see that, like, he's doing these like amazing complex stories, but you're like, dude, you're ripping the shit out of your IP. He messed with everybody so much.
Well, it's like I think it was Joe Bernardo in the chat said he never really liked Alpha Flight. They came to him, if I remember right, about doing a monthly book with it, and he was like, with them?
Yeah.
So I think it was him collecting a paycheck. He just wasn't into his own thing.
So many great things with it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I saw some of the pencils for Alpha Flight when I was at the Cuber school, that the teachers would shop around to show you, like, depending on how tight a penciler is or how loose a penciler is. And a lot of those Alpha Flight pages are pretty loose, where you're like, it's a Mario. What's the fair attraction with the horses that go in a circle up and down?
The merry-go-round.
Carousel.
Carousel. Yeah, you'd see that, like, he barely drew that, and Terry Austin had to go in and finish stuff, and you just like, he's already moved on to the next page. Where's my paycheck? Let me get through this. Terry will, fix it up. All the boring, no fun stuff. It's too bad though, because they had that intro in Uncanny X-Men where everybody thought they were, oh look, it's the new X-Men. It's the Canadian X-Men.
Right. It is. And I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Alpha Flight because of it. I've always enjoyed it. I enjoyed the original run, the characters. They've screwed them up now, throwing him in space with stupid Captain Marvel and stuff like that. But what can't Marvel screw up? But this original run and stuff, no, I agree. I pick up slab copies of this every once in a while just because it's just hard not to. It's just a good book.
It is.
Where would Alpha be though if John didn't chop it down so much? Like when he killed off Guardian, I was like, oh, yeah, you just literally took the wind out of my sails. Mm-hmm. And then he had that box character that I was just like, I don't care about this guy. Yeah. And he's messing with the Sasquatch. He's actually a bad guy, a god from another,
Yeah.
Like, it's like you could have done all those storylines, but not take them to the nth degree of almost like you don't like those characters and pushing all the female characters to the forefront so much. Like, that's where an editor says, no, dude, don't do that. That's you're going to screw up the team. You're going to screw up the brand.
Right.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there'd probably be 3 series of Alpha Flight right now.
They tried bringing him back and stuff, but
it's not the same.
No.
All right.
You're up.
So I've already done Liefeld New Mutants. I did McFarlane's Hulk. I did McFarlane's Spider-Man. Did Jim Lee's Uncanny. Mike Zeck's Punisher. That was Miniseries. That was probably the first time I realized that not all artists draw the same, and some artists are better than others. And that was the first time it really connected with me. Like, why does this look so much better than everybody else's stuff?
Dude, that limited series was great.
Yeah.
And the Return to Big Nothing graphic novel, the shame with the limited series was he didn't finish it. They had to bring in, I never asked him why. It had to be a deadline thing.
Yeah.
He had to get help. Oh man, I'm blanking on the artist who had to come in and
it was a storyboard guy. Was it Bill Reinhold?
No, it was Mike Vosberg.
Okay, yeah.
Mike Vosberg came in and finished off. I don't know if it was 5 and 6 or maybe it was just 6. I mean, Mike did a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it was really, it was just, kind of disappointing he couldn't do all 6. But man, that first issue where it starts off, he's sitting in the prison yard, thumping out some curls.
Dude,
banging some curls in the prison yard.
Dude, he spent way too long on that first issue. That first issue, the artwork in that is so much better than the rest of the series.
Did you ever see the pencils of that first issue?
No.
Dude, he filled in all the black areas. There were no X's for blacks. I mean, that thing was just, the pencils are gorgeous for that first issue.
Yeah, you can just tell. You can tell, dude. You can tell. He probably spent 2 or 3 months on that first issue. Or whatever his standard, how long it takes him to draw a comic book. He spent 2 or 3 times as long on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, in the covers that were airbrushed over Mike's originals, Phil Zimmerman, I believe was the airbrush guy. Just, that stuff was just fantastic.
Dude, they did a whole series of Punisher posters. Not just the collected covers. They did more artwork for just the posters.
Yeah.
So that stuff was amazing.
Well, he really got into, Mike really got into drawing the guns and stuff.
Made sure they were like near perfect. Well,
oh yeah,
more near perfect than guys like Vosberg. When Vosberg came in, he was just drawing squares and stuff.
Yeah. All right, Dennis, are you showing and telling again, or am I sharing the screen?
I'm showing and telling because I believe it was.
Why did I do all this work?
Asked earlier, I think it was Beowulf, what the my favorite, basically licensed IP was for a book. 1979 comes out. Rom, baby, Rom.
Oh, that's a nice tight issue too.
That I had to get. Rom, it's 75 issues. Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema did this. I mean, when you open up the very first issues, and I have a bunch of number ones.
Are you serious? You have multiple number ones?
Of course I do.
Yeah,
all right, I'll buy one off you.
Splash page.
Never.
That splash page is awesome.
Never? You don't need multiple number ones. Sell me one.
Sure do. Just like I have multiple Alpha Flight number ones. I love this. Look at this. Man, Rom Space Knight comes out of an asteroid. Look at that.
Can you
imagine? Oh, my God. It's on fire, man. And then
dude, I loved the design of Rom. I mean, the toy looks stupid.
Fantastic. Until we got our toy and the neutralizer did light up. His eyes lit up. But that was about it. And there was no points of articulation, which was very much unlike the pictures that they had tried to sell you the toy on.
Yeah, there's a whole story of why the toy sucks.
Yes, and it's a right. So there's still a rights issue to it to this day because Marvel later on, they introduced the Dire Wraiths, which was not part of the Hasbro.
Which is smart.
License.
Needed
Marvel
something.
actually created that when IDW decided they got the rights to ROM and they launched it. They also started using the Dire Wraiths, which really was Marvel's IP. And
Really? I didn't know that.
On that end of it, hence the lawsuits on that one.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, because Marvel's never been able to reprint ROM. IDW can't because of the Marvel IP, the Dire Wraiths, and that's the same problem with Micronauts. They can't reprint Micronauts because some of the Micronauts or some of the stuff that was created in Micronauts, Marvel owns.
Yes, absolutely. Micronauts is kind of in the same thing. Everybody knows I have ROM. I've got it's 75 issues. I've got them all. They have a couple of issues with the X-Men in it, 17 and 18.
Yep, I got those.
Great fighter.
Alpha Flight's in a couple of them.
Oh yeah.
What about there's an issue where he shows some of the other Space Knights. I still
you actually get to the home planet, and then you find out about why they created the Space Knights, what they used to do, how they used to go out there and protect the galaxy and stuff like this. It was absolutely a fantastic. And then they went off the rails towards the end of it and kind of ruined the mythos. And I'm glad it came to an end when it did. But honestly, you could read this. I have read this series so many times over the years. It was awesome.
All right, Dennis, I want a book report on my desk next week about the ROM series.
Yeah, well, can you imagine working on ROM at the end when like X-Men and Spider-Man are really starting to take off and the market's starting to, really start cooking, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm on ROM."
Yeah,
it depends. Those last issues of ROM that were drawn by Steve Ditko, but finished. Marcus just brought it up. Finished by a cadre of inkers. Byrne inked an issue over Steve Ditko of ROM.
Really?
P. Craig Russell did. Bob Layton did.
Yep.
Oh, those last few issues were great just because of that.
Looked good, cool. But the story writing, they jumped the shark, and you knew it was the end, and it's just too bad because it was a great series. I really wish they would have at some point brought him back in properly, but they never did.
Hey, Dennis, read that comment.
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm having deja vu on this from before. Yeah. That's really nice of you guys.
Yeah. All right. Oh, wait, it's my turn. Let's see. Captain America by Mr. Zex. When you said Zek, I was like, oh, don't say Captain America. Oh, and you didn't. Zek's Captain America. Once again, that is my Captain America artist. The first comic book I ever bought was by Mike Zeck. It was Captain America 275. From there, I subscribed to it. Then I got back issues, and that's how I discovered the other books I bought. This is a good cover you pulled. I love this cover. Zek's work was just so unique. You couldn't look at his stuff and go, oh, he's a fan of this guy. It was later on I found out he was a fan of Wally Wood, and then I could see that in some of his work with his lighting and backgrounds and stuff. But I mean, just, it's still its own thing, and his cap was very powerful. The stories sometimes were a little too romancy with him and his girlfriend Bernie, but, overall, I dug the stuff. I got the Epic collection that came out. It was either last year or 2 years ago that finally reprinted a very big chunk of Zek's run. I wish it still would have been the Essentials, because the last Captain America Essential that came out in black and white, I think it might have had a couple issues of Zek stuff. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait until the next Essentials. It's going to be all Zek, all black and white, and they discontinued the run and started doing the Epic collections instead. Pork Hunt says he loved the Deathlock issue. They did put that out in like a tiny trade because it was only like 3 issues. I've got that. Yeah, and I still have, the original issues I bought as a kid. Just love the stuff. Just loved it, and I own a page from the Zek run as well. So
Can you imagine if they had just chopped a lot of that? It's like reading the Superman and Superman's, all those pages with Lois and Jimmy Olsen and the Daily Planet bullshit. Like, if they had just chopped half that Cap and his fucking friend shit and be like, dude, you're Captain America. Who gives a fuck about Steve Rogers?
Right.
It just like that probably would have been a top 10 book if they had just like trimmed some of that silly stuff. I guess, he's in Avengers at the same time, and Avengers is mostly full on action with, none of the supporting characters. So they think that they need more of the supporting characters in the regular books. But yeah. You look back at that and go, man, if you guys just chopped some of those pages originally, more Zach Cap would have been awesome. That was super cool though. That's a fine choice, Andy. Fine choice.
They did. Okay, so they didn't do an omnibus for the U.S. Agent miniseries, because they did that miniseries and it was drawn by I think it was MC Wyman drew it, and he was doing this was in MC's very John Buscema influence stage of his career. They put out a trade paperback of that, but they also did put out a thicker trade paperback that was that collected that and like some of the very first U.S. Agent stuff as well. So they did put out a book. It wasn't an omnibus, because I don't really think there's enough U.S. Agent stuff that would warrant that thick of an omnibus. But they did put out a trade paperback of stuff. So
yeah, wasn't U.S. Agent like maybe 1 or 2 years max?
Oh no, so in the trade paperback I'm talking about, unless I'm just dreaming it starts with John Walker's intro and Cap, and then after that it ends with the 4-issue U.S. Agent miniseries. I'm pretty sure that's a book that's out there, because they did when he came out. They put that out in the past couple of years, and I remember flipping through it. Or maybe I'm just high. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, up to you.
Joey Mad's Battle Chasers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Chasers.
That was probably the first, Japanese anime manga type influence book that I'd ever purchased. So, obviously, Joe Mad is definitely influenced by all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
When he was on X-Men and stuff, but that was, Battle Chasers was the first, for me, like, oh, hey, look at all this other stuff, especially like Sword and Sorcery. Besides reading the random Conan issues, that was the first comic book I had ever bought, which had like magic and stuff like that, because I was never a Doctor Strange fan. So
hold on, okay, see, I was confused. I thought I know Mark wrote that many issues of Cap, and you're right, he could easily fill an omnibus with all Mark's Cap stuff. I thought you meant just U.S. Agent, so that's what I thought you meant. But if you're talking the whole Mark Gruenwald Cap, oh yeah, you could do an omnibus of that for sure. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, 2.
So, but yeah, I like Battle Chasers. Out of all the ones that came out of that, wasn't a cliffhanger they called it?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, out of all the cliffhanger stuff, I think Battle Chasers was my favorite. Then it was Danger Girl.
I like Danger Girl.
I like Danger Girl too.
I didn't get into Crimson Tide or whatever it was by Humberto.
No, it was his stuff is still so cartoony and weird. Yeah. And you could definitely see with like Danger Girl that Campbell really stepped up his the quality too. Like he spent a lot longer on the figure work and stuff, and just all the vehicles. I always thought Danger Girl was Campbell's ode to like the G.I. Joe comic, because he was ripping off a lot of G.I. Joe Cobra stuff.
Yeah.
In Danger Girl.
I thought you were going to throw something like Warriors of Plasm or something at us.
I don't even know what that is.
Jim
Shooter's company.
Oh God, no! I hated that. I hated Valiant. I hated Valiant.
Defiant.
Yeah, and I hated Defiant. Yep. Yeah, I that was the epitome of slice of life, and I even tried Jim Shooter's New Universe when that came out,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
remember thinking, you know, the guy that had the brown leather costume, Star Brand.
Yeah, Star
Like,
Brand.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that this character, the idea is cool, but he doesn't do anything.
No,
And
and then, you know, it's funny because Byrne did some Star Brand and he actually put him in a superhero costume. And I was like, why wasn't this from issue 1?
Yeah,
Bingo.
well, it's because that was the concept. It was
Yeah.
the normal life of heroes, and you're just like, who the f wants that? Besides,
Right.
nowadays Netflix. I'm surprised Netflix didn't try to do New Universe, just because that's exactly how they wrote, you know, Punisher, Luke Cage, and Jessica Drake or whatever. I mean, they literally just did like, what if you have powers but you still gotta, you know, live your life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those new universes, you know, the Marvel New Universe that they came out with. What was it? Comics Greatest World, you know, where you had X.
Yeah.
And then they had
Nth
some.
Man. Nth Man was had
Nth
an
Man.
interesting
No,
idea.
Nth Man wasn't New Universe.
No.
No, wait.
No.
What is the guy? He had the energy shield on one hand and he had the energy sword on the other. I thought he was kind of cool, but I didn't really like the art that much.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
But no, Nth Man was just, you know, regular whatever.
Oh,
So-
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
There's
Ron
this-
Wagner was drawing that.
Okay.
So-
Then there's some ninja character. Wasn't there some kind of ninja character in New Universe? So
Man, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. What's up, Leg Kick?
Leg kicks in.
All right. Dennis, you showing and telling or am I pulling a
Number
screen?
one, you can show the first one.
All right, hold on.
My favorite read, if I'm ever going to sit down and just want to read something, the one that always gets me, most of you will probably figure it out, because as my favorite in the entire world, my favorite superhero book is, of course, it's X-Men. They are my favorite characters. This is an X-Men number 1. But I don't really want to just say it's X-Men, because this is actually before my time.
It is.
what? No way.
You
Yeah,
certainly look old enough to get it.
I say it's more like Andy's or Rob's. Kind of way, but,
Oh, Rob's younger than us.
is he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. Sorry, Rob.
that's okay. Great. That's awesome. Thanks.
But
I'm
it isn't-
35.
I always enjoyed, so this predates me. I went back and collected them all. But what really got me was the storyline. So my 3 favorite storylines in X-Men going backwards. Age of Apocalypse was really cool for its time. I really enjoyed the Apocalypse character. They expanded on it in the X Factor stuff. I always enjoyed it. Number 2, Days of Future Past. Another one that I can just sit down, but it's not super big. But of course, the number 1 favorite storyline of all, my favorite character, is of course Phoenix, Jean Grey, who later becomes Dark Phoenix, because she is just amazing, absolutely amazing copies. My favorite storyline, the Dark Phoenix saga, is just the bomb of all bombs for storylines. The intricacies in the writing, the artwork, what they had to do, the Shi'ar Empire, again, doing what they did in the outer space. Look at that. Phoenix must die. I mean, when she dies, it is... You had to be a robot not to have a little tear in your eye. So Andy wouldn't have cried. They would have had to oil his joints and stuff. For all
I think what you mean to say is you had to be a robot or in the real world, a straight man.
Wow. It is... Oh, I see the Brood. So somebody...
I read this book. I read this book. I was like, damn. Put it down and was like, what's for dinner? I'm hungry.
You said that about when Old Yeller died too.
Oh.
So I'm not,
Yeah, well, you know.
Nor
pretty
did
cool,
you like
Andy.
the menu, so your taste really doesn't stick with me whatsoever.
Hey, Rob, when you get a chance, I want you to watch the movie The Menu and tell me what you think.
It looks like a low budget piece of crap.
Oh, it's not at all low budget.
It's not low budget, but
So there's no way I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. I think you two talked about this before because
No.
you know, it's fantastic. Second favorite movie of the year, but that's digressing.
Oh,
I know, right?
Let's
Ugh.
go. So let me guess. Did they start chasing the people to eat them?
No.
Nope.
Okay, good.
There's no tropes in this that you would ever think of,
No.
other than the fact it's pretty satire.
Boring.
But we already did our reviews on it, and I have gotten contacted by quite a few people that say I'm right. So I'll be curious to see if anybody else actually says Andy's right.
Oh, X-Men, are they still around? Not in a good way.
Not in a good way, but that's why you go back. Dark Phoenix Saga, and there's so many different ways that they've collected this
What the
over the
hell?
years. Go read the Dark Phoenix Saga. And to me, not just in X-Men, but it is probably one of the best written stories in all of comic books. So the entire Phoenix Saga ranges from issues 101 to her death in 137. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Dude, she dies?
Way to go.
I know. Well, hey, we apparently spoiled the Punisher and Elektra dying, so whatever.
Who?
Punisher, what are you talking about? Stop drinking.
Just go hit back. I can't help it.
All right.
My voice is finally going.
My number 7, and mine weren't in order. Dennis's were from worst to best. I don't know. I loved John Byrne when he went to DC. He got on Superman. You know, Byrne was a Marvel guy for so many years, and I followed his career. And when I saw him go to DC, I was so excited because, you know, I wasn't a huge Kurt Swan fan back then. As a kid, I'm a big Kurt Swan fan now and have been for years. But, you know, once I got into the business and would really appreciate art and stuff. But as a kid, I can see why Kurt stuff, you know, they want to reinvigorate Superman and whatnot. I loved Man of Steel and what Byrne did. And I bought every issue. I would have liked it if he just kept inking himself. I liked what Carl Kiesel did over Byrne because he really did bring a, you know, after what Austin did on Byrne, I thought Carl did a great job inking John Byrne as well. But I just love the
I know
stuff.
you're a Superman fan, so I'm going to ask a question. When Byrne went over, am I incorrect or correct that when he did, he's the one who stripped out all of the stupid stuff from Superman, went back to basics and said, let's make Superman cool again.
Yeah, basically, because that was just it. Superman was so powerful before Byrne rebooted it that he could literally move planets, you know, push a planet and stuff, you know, and Byrne was just like, no, the dude can do anything. You gotta bring him back down some. And Byrne did. He stripped all that stuff out. He tried to make sense of stuff like how does Clark shave? He uses his heat vision into a little mirror, you know, for shaving. Clark had weights at his apartment just so if people came over, it could explain why Clark is, you know, kind of a big dude, you know, because he liked to work out and stuff, except for when Lois picked one up and started curling and was like, what? You work out with this? What is this? And then he had to like fumble around and cover why the weight was so light and stuff. It was good. He tried to really make sense of it. So yeah, I dug it. You know, I love it. I still have all these issues as well. In fact, I've got a long box that is separated by 3 artists, Neil Adams, John Byrne, and Alan Davis. And I've got a bunch of, you know, the classic Neil stuff, the Green Lanterns, the Spectres, you know, the full issues that he did. I've got a bunch of, in the Byrne section, it's Alpha Flight, it's Fantastic Four, it's Superman. And then, you know, Alan Davis is, you know, Batman and Outsiders and Excalibur and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, these are ones I could sit down. I mean, like, that's just it. You know, I never thought I'd get to a point of being that old guy in comics, looking back on, looking at the new stuff that's out, and there's literally a handful of artists out there that I like now, and the rest I just don't like. But these are books I pick up and go, this is what comics should look like.
Yep.
And that holds true for like everything we've talked about. The McFarlane stuff from back then and the Jim Lee stuff from back. To me, that is what comics are. So,
well, I'm surprised right now. There's one person that hasn't been mentioned yet that I'm really surprised. So I'm going to find out if Rob's final one brings this character to light.
Hold on. Did I read The Man and Superman written by Marv and drawn by Linnell Francis Yu? Are you talking about the Mark Waid one where Mark Waid and Linnell Francis Yu rebooted it? Because I did read that, and I thought Birthright, Superman Birthright. Are you talking about that? I don't remember this, but I remember Birthright. I did like that as well. So, this is a good question. Do I have John Burns wheeling the chopper bunch? Yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. And the fun thing is, you can see the Burnisms in that stuff. Because that was some of his early work. So
love that.
So there you go. So Rob, you're up.
Well, I have a question about the John Byrne. When you look at that Superman, that cover that you just had up, why isn't John still like a superstar? Because you look at a lot of the artists nowadays, and it's all color. There's no rendering, and you look at how detailed that Superman cover is. You could put John Byrne on a book now, and as long as he, looks at the fashion styles and doesn't try to draw everybody looking like they're wearing, 1980s or 1990s clothes.
Well, the thing is with Byrne, he did those 30 issues of that fan fiction X-Men stuff that he drew, and he sold the pencils. Not all of them, but he would sell pencils, and Scott Williams inked a 2-page spread of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because somebody bought a 2-page spread and asked Scott if he'd ink it. Scott inked it.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if they got somebody like Scott to ink those 30 issues of X-Men that Byrne did, and then with modern color, that shit would sell.
It would.
Oh my God. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. That stuff would sell.
Even the pencil stuff was great to sit down and read.
Well, did you see Neil's Batman Odyssey?
Oh yeah.
Because Scott inked a few of those pages, and Scott said Neil didn't like what he did on those pages. But
I thought they were great. I thought what Scott did was great, and I saw Scott posted the pages, the original pages, before Neil did patches over some faces, and that's just another one. Nothing against these guys because they are legends, but their inking has something to be desired now.
Yeah.
And, you get a good inker on it. And talking about Batman Odyssey, he had Paul Neary ink some pages. They look great.
Yeah.
He had Michael Golden ink pages. They look great.
Yeah.
He had Kevin Nolan ink pages. They look great.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a...
Yeah, they were asking...
That's a trade paperback that so Dennis and I each have. Don't we have 2 of them?
It's
yeah, but he did 30 issues. There's more than just those 2. But yeah, I printed those. Well, I didn't print them out. Somebody put them together as a PDF, and we got them printed.
Yeah.
And then the printing company was like, "We can't print this stuff. What the heck?" So I was lucky enough to get a couple of them printed, and I got a couple for Dennis as well. They were fun reads. What are they? The first 12? Isn't each one 6 issues?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even think there was a table of contents. Nope.
No, there's not. But yeah, I mean, that's just it. You get a good inker on that stuff, and it's classic Byrne. The pencils are all there.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Neil's Batman Odyssey was goofy as hell. But I just remember looking through it going, this artwork would be like, I remember just looking at it going, man, if this story was serious and not so weird, goofy, I mean, what the hell? This would be, this would be a huge hit right now. But, if Neil wants to, Neil does what he does and, and John does what he does. And maybe that's part of it because editors want more power and more control over the guys. And they know they can't tell it, can't tell John Byrne what to do. So, unfortunately.
I just checked my messenger. Leg Kick asked me to. I have that book. I have that. When it came out, I bought it. He brought up about the Marv Wolfman and Claudio Castellini did a 100-page Superman book that came out a couple years ago. And it was basically like, Superman early days, whatever you want to call it. And it was, Claudio's art is fantastic. So it was great. And then they re-released it as a oversized hardcover deluxe edition. And I bought that one as well. So yeah, that was awesome. I liked it. I liked the Batman Odyssey. The story was a little weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I gotta be honest. I really liked the Superman, Neil Adams Superman miniseries he did. Because I'm more of a Superman fan than a Batman fan. And, the Superman Muhammad Ali is just, that's it for Superman, Neil. But other than that, he only did Superman covers. So when that Superman miniseries came out that Neil did, for a guy that was in his 70s when he drew it, I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah, to be able to still do that. A lot of people, it's, they get older, it really drops off. I mean, just look at your work. Your work has really dropped off in the last few years. So.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
Up until Kor-Drath, that
right.
had a resurgence.
Well,
I thought that was a fantastic book. So I've got the black and white. I've got both editions. I've got the black and white magazine size Italian edition where it's printed in, like I said, black and white. So you can see all of Claudio's tones. Zipatone stuff he did. And then I got the reprint. I've got a couple copies of the reprint Marvel did at regular comic size that they colored. I thought that was a great job.
It is.
If you want to see, go check out the first 8 pages of Kor-Drath now. You can read the first 8 pages, click at the top of that page, and go bang on over and back the campaign.
Nice.
So, Rob, what is your?
You're closing us out for our top 7 list. So, what's your final one?
Art Adams, but he never really had a really run on anything. So I would just say, his random one shots that he did, and of course then his 4 issues of Fantastic Four he did that Art T-Bear got to ink. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I still look at those all the time. Especially the first couple issues. Yeah. Awesome.
No, that's great stuff. Yeah, I've got that small little Fantastic Four trade. Yeah. So, dude, you're gonna have to check eBay. There's no way I'm selling it. I'll be honest. Unlike Dennis, if I had another copy of it, I would sell it to you. But I only have one copy.
Okay, so there's a comment. He would sell it for 500% of the going rate because that's Andy.
No.
Hey,
$450 if you got a coupon.
Long Shot miniseries, of course, that's where we all discovered Art Adams.
Yes,
no, I didn't like the artwork in it. It was really rough. I mean, Portasio was inking him, and Portasio had to learn to ink, so he could ink him. So it's too rough for me.
I liked it.
I liked it, but yeah, his art, it was his first work too. So even without the inking, his art stuff. Look, I love Monkey Man and O'Brien.
Yeah, I never looked at that.
What about the 2 issues of Gen 13 that he did?
I don't think so. I might have looked through it, and is that when he started like inking himself with like a rapidograph or something, and it was all the thick outlines?
I don't think he inked damn it, they're not close by me. Yeah. I don't think he inked the Gen 13. That was Sandra Hope, I think.
Okay. So
it was Gen 13, Gen X.
Yeah, I probably looked through it once, and it didn't jump out to me that I really liked it. But I also,
he did a couple issues. He did a few issues of The Authority that Tim Townsend inked.
Yep.
No, I wouldn't have looked through that either, though. It's the Authority. It's not X-Men or anything. I've always been super picky, even if it's an artist I really like. If I don't like the subject matter, I won't get it.
So yeah, that is the original Alpha Flight poster that came out in the '80s by Byrne.
That's cool.
With the whole team. I had it as a kid hanging above my bed, and then it got kind of mangled. I got rid of it when I moved out, went to college, and then about 15 years ago, I saw it on eBay, and I kept watching it, and it didn't sell. So I messaged the guy and said, I'll make you an offer. And he recognized my name and goes, I'll trade you for a drawing. So I said, okay. So I did a drawing for him and traded. So
that's cool.
There you go.
It is.
That...
You know what I didn't hear throughout all of this? This is what I was wondering. So we've each given our top 7 lists. So that's 21 picks of books that we would sit down by an open fire and read on a cold day just to warm the heart. Not a Batman in there.
I only bought Batman. I bought Dark Knight. I bought the Dark Knight when it came out. Dark Knight Returns, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that, but not enough to put on this list. But I still love it. I've got the hardcover black and white edition of it because I think it's great. But I didn't buy... When I bought Batman as a kid, it was because of the artists and not because of Batman.
Right.
So if the artist was drawing something else, yeah. So I was never a huge Batman guy.
Court of Owls would have been my honorable mention for Batman if he had done the top 10.
Oh, damn. Look at Bobby C. Look at Rob throwing shade on Greg Capullo, Court of Owls.
Wow. I love that storyline.
Well, I like Greg Capullo's stuff a lot, but it seemed like he had to do more storytelling and simplify what he does to keep up with the Batman deadlines. So I don't see that as his best stuff. I like his Creech stuff a lot more because it seems like
Creech is great.
Yeah, he has so much shit in Creech.
I've got that trade paperback right over here.
Yeah, and he shares on his Instagram some of the pages, and I look at those pages and go, "Oh, there's way more work in those pages than there was on the Batman stuff." And the Batman stuff, the pacing, I didn't like the pacing. I really thought it's Greg Capullo. Why aren't there more splash pages of Batman?
So real quick, Kelly Jones Batman. I did buy that monthly for 2 reasons. Big Kelly Jones fan, and I was sharing a studio with John Beatty, who was inking Kelly at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought it just for that. Hell, he might have even given me an issue every month because back then DC was sending 25 to everybody. So maybe I just got them from John. I don't know. But I love the Kelly Jones run. I wasn't a big fan of Norm Brayfogle when it was coming out, but I appreciate it now. New Frontier, Stat Zero, hello. New Frontier by Darwin Cook is very good, and I've got the big oversized slipcase one back there. But I think when we put this list together, at least when Dennis and I talked about it, my intent was stuff growing up, not anything when I was already working in the business. So that's why I didn't pull out.
More like I said, with all the shit out there today, we just want to, I'm in the mood to read. I got a day or two here. It's just crappy weather. What's just going to warm the heart? What can you do? What would invoke member berries, from when we were kids, and you could just sit down and start reading and never put the books down. That's kind of the list we were going for. I was just a little surprised that Batman didn't make anybody's list. It just wouldn't have made mine, and I was just kind of curious. The same thing with the Teen Titans. I liked it. I would do the Teen Titans X-Men book. That was a good crossover. I'll read that on there, but I wouldn't pull that out just to sit down and read it.
Well, funny thing, I didn't really buy the Teen Titans as a kid because I liked George's work growing up, but I liked the Marvel stuff he did. And when he was doing Teen Titans, I didn't hate it. I just wasn't a big DC guy. I was more of a Marvel kid growing up.
Yeah, so. I can see that. The Teen Titans were always kind of sad sacky too. My brother loved the Teen Titans, and I was just like, I've got the X-Men, man. Why do I care about the Teen Titans? So,
exactly.
My number 8 would be Portacio's X Factor. I love that. His X Factor run was awesome. So I was a big fan of that too.
See,
So,
Joe Bernardo just brought up no love for George Perez's second Avengers run. Once again, I wasn't putting this list together with anything from when I was working in the business, and I was working in the business when George did that run. I do like it, and I own all the issues, but I wasn't in the business. But before we go, because we have been prattling on for a while, Kor-Drath The Reckoning. We are at $73,543.
Speaking of a book that you can curl up by the fire to read.
That's right. 1,179 backers, 21 backers away from 1,200. If you haven't backed it yet, go check it out. It is barbarian action. Kor-Drath and Adriana, his lover, they have to get together and find out why the Necronites sent a legion of the undead to slaughter his tribe. Of course, Kor-Drath doesn't know it was the Necronite behind it. That's part of the mystery that he has to unravel and figure out. There's 5 different covers to choose from. There's an artist edition. If you like playing role-playing games, Dennis wrote a role-playing game module for Kor-Drath, so you can play the game. You can go to the link in the description below. Click here where it says read pages 1 through 8 here. It'll take you to Kor-Drath.com where you can read the first 8 pages of the story. You can see the artwork bigger as well. Randy says Adriana will battle Lilith. I'm drawing pages like that right now.
I know.
So,
I got to see them. Woo-hoo!
We are very excited for this book. You guys, I guarantee you'll love it. So check it out. I mean, I'm just at a loss for words because it's just so freaking cool. On the website, like I said, the game, there's the cover for the game module by Bart Sears and Dan Lawless. The game even has inside front cover, a map of a cave, inside back cover, one as well. We really want to give you that cool Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game feel. And in regards to the book, you know, if you like Game of Thrones and Conan, it's kind of like we mash those together with a little Dungeons and Dragons magic and stuff sprinkled in. Marcus says, if I order something else from Kor-Drath, do I pay shipping twice? Yeah, I mean, send me a message. You can, if there's something else you wanted, you can probably still go back in and just cancel your first order and then reback. Or, Marcus, you're in town, you would get charged for shipping. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that, even though you live, you know, in the vicinity of us. But yeah.
Unless it was something that he wanted that was in the secret.
Yeah, and there are still secret links for the add-ons
where you don't have to pay for add-ons.
Right. So just message me, let me know what you're thinking. And then, of course, our good buddy Rob is here.
Oh.
So Death Raider, let me grab this one comment. You and Dennis should play through the RPG module on here. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Dennis did play test it with a few people over the holidays. We would need more than just Dennis and I to make it real fun. So, you know, we'll think about that. We'll definitely think about that.
Force your wives to play.
No. I like being married. I like sleeping in the same bed with my wife.
My wife does play.
That would be great. You guys like pan over to them and they're just like super unimpressed and not interested. They're talking amongst themselves.
Yeah. So guys, Death Raider is Rob's new project. The sign-up page is live. What's Death Raider about, Rob? Or should I just play the trailer? Oh, actually, I'm not sharing audio, so just tell us what it's about.
All right, Death Raider is, he is a Marsoc Marine, and him and his team get ambushed. They die. He is almost dead. He has to build out the Death Raider. He pretty much becomes Death Raider because he's on the run from the guys who ambushed him. He's on the run from the military. He's on the run from the evil corporation. Of course, we got to have an evil corporation in there. and he's just trying to survive. It is a cyberpunk meets superhero meets John Wick type of story, where it's balls to the wall action, but with a story, because you just can't have action pages. It's a big epic summer blockbuster adventure is the way I've been describing it. And
Cool.
wait till you guys see more of the artwork. Go to deathraider.com to because the sign up page, really you can't see the images very well. So if you go to deathraider.com, you can check out most of the images that are on the page and a lot more.
Now, is deathraider.com, is it spelled with a hyphen or is it just DETHRA? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Death Raider.
it's Death Raider. It's DETH and then Raider.com.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know you had a website, so yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I got multiple websites for him. So
He's got
Cool.
more websites and he knows what to do.
I do. Yep. Well, I don't need anybody to piggyback on the epic success when Death Raider blows up massive.
That's right. And last question. Well, I assume you mean why not stream play of the game? I never said we wouldn't, but the game is still it's a work in progress. It's not finished yet. The first test that Dennis did, test play, was the first test play. So
Look,
once it's done,
I basically have the first half of it completely done with stats, everything like that.
yeah.
And I test played it with a group with some existing people and a couple of new people. Got feedback to see what I needed to change, because you have to be able to figure out the levels. But it's not just, the role playing itself. It's actually because there's also a lot of story that will help with the comic book experience. You can read both. The more you read, the more you understand the world of the Shattered Reach.
Yep. Okay, last question from Brian Blevins.
Brian.
So comic books continue on due to the secondary market. It makes it so the story is told in every generation. What can be done to ensure a larger secondary market for crowdfunded books? A secondary market for crowdfunded books is difficult unless we were to, I guess, eventually put them in a store, because, unless people sell them, you know what I mean? I mean, if we, when I have, say for after Kor-Drath, I could put it up, or we could put it up on the Kor-Drath website for sale, which we very well might do. I mean, same thing with the t-shirts and stuff like that. Anything left over, we'd put up for sale. But, when it comes to like First Man, I'd have to go back to print, because I have First Man as add-ons in the Kor-Drath campaign, but once the campaign, once those are gone, I'd have to do a second print, which I'm not saying I won't do. I just haven't yet.
Well, and there's also ways around it. So, like a lot of you guys know, and some of you don't, that I actually appraise comic books.
What?
So, right, but not everybody knows that. But I also I pay money for particular databases and stuff that have not only all the information, but like what a fair market value is, stuff like that. So any of the CG books that I get, I actually go through. So I order a lot of the different CG properties. I can't say I order them all because there's just so many out there, but I do order a lot of them. When I get them, a lot of them do have ISBNs and UPCs on them. I will actually take a book, go to see if it's in the databases I use. If not, I'll scan in a copy of the cover, and then I'll put in the UPC and I'll upload all the information to it, so that it can help. So that'll help with, it's not quite like an Overstreet, but it is something.
Yeah. That's
I plan on doing Death Raider in multiple formats. As first there'll be the big graphic novel, and then after that we'll just see, depending on the success and how it is received. But I actually want to do multiple formats that are probably be more secondary market friendly, because the big book is the big book, so that's not as market friendly secondary market. But in smaller formats, break it down. I told Andy this the other day. I'm a big fan of the 48 pager, the like Dark Knight Returns. So I could see Death Raider being chopped into 2 editions or 3 editions, things like that, or even, chop down into 20 pages at a time. So, and I think we all would like to see us, if the success and the demand is there, doing, smaller size formats, just because we all grew up with the 20-page comic books or 22-page comic books. So I know we'd all love to see our books in that style of format also.
Yeah. So. That's right. 21 backers away from 1,200. Let's get on it. If you've backed it, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. If you have backed it, back it again. Back something else.
Got to get to 75.
Share it around. If you've backed it and you're satisfied, share it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media. Tell your friends and buddies about it. Get yourself a t-shirt. Let's see. Brian says this may be taboo, but a lot of books get word out due to pirating. Do you think this actually hurts getting the word out? I do not condone it. Just asking. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it does or not. So, I'm pirating.
That's an interesting question. I guess it's not something I've really sat there and pondered.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it.
I feel like Zoolander.
I imagine if it's something that's really good and they read it digitally, they are probably going to buy the printed copy. And
look, I'll be honest. I've been to a site before where I've looked at some funny books where they have a huge library, and part of it's because it's mostly back issues, and I want to see if it's a book that I want to buy. And if it's a 25, 30-year-old, 40-year-old book, and I look at it on that site, and I'm like, that's awesome, I buy it.
I agree. I have not seen any.
No, I haven't either.
I also haven't actively looked for it.
No.
And in order for somebody to pirate like our book, we're not going to have a digital copy. So, somebody has to take the pages and scan it in themselves. And if that's what they're going to do, they're going to do it. There's nothing we can do about it. But that means they purchased a book originally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are going to get out of here. It is a little after 7. I know Rob Hunter is going to be on the Pontificators at 8 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
An hour.
You can see him there. Dennis and I might pop on again this week. Don't know yet. But we'll be back next week. Kelsey Shannon is going to be the guest on the show next week. So we'll be talking to Kelsey about his career and whatever he's got going on. The man from the swamp. We'll get him on the show.
And tomorrow we'll be dropping our movie review.
Tomorrow, look out for the movie review of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. And you can see what we think of that. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution!